Not that simple.
Governor Brian Kemp announced plans to begin reopening parts of the state as early as Friday. But are we ready to reopen? I'm CBS 46's Adam Murphy, crunching the COVID-19 numbers. I'll have the very latest just ahead.
But first, breaking news at 4, both outrage and applause. As Georgia moves to reopen for business, I'm Rick Fulbaum.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. We carried Governor Brian Kemp's announcement live yesterday as he moved to ease coronavirus restrictions. Well, Georgia is now among the first in the nation to take this critical step forward that some fear is just too soon. Here's a look at what's reopening and when. On Friday, gyms, salons, bowling alleys, massage parlors, and tattoo parlors can open their doors. Then on Monday, theaters and restaurants can open. All businesses still have to enforce social distancing and implement increased sanitation practices. Bars and nightclubs will remain closed for now. The decision comes as coronavirus cases inch closer to the 20,000 mark here in Georgia. Brand new numbers out today show the death toll is now up to 799. Despite the climb in cases and deaths, Governor Kemp says Georgia is on track to meet the criteria for phase 1 of White House guidance to reopen.
Much more ahead on this monumental decision, but first, we do have some bad weather in the forecast that you need to know about and you need to start preparing for as well. Our chief meteorologist, Jennifer Valdez, tracking those changes. And so, Jennifer, we should enjoy some nice weather now while we have it, right?
Oh, yeah, because here we go again. We're talking about severe weather, and not just severe weather, but tornadoes, strong damaging winds, and the possibility of flash flooding again, the third time in about 10 days that we're talking about being in storm mode and severe weather. And as you said, enjoy today, enjoy tomorrow, because we do have some really great weather before the storms arrive. But on Thursday, that 100% chance of rain, that is the potential of severe weather. And again, we are looking at a level 3 risk of severe weather. Areas in orange at the highest risk, that's an enhanced risk of severe storms. Could see strong damaging winds, tornadoes, very heavy downpours, and even flash flooding. And you're going to see it encompasses much of Georgia with the highest threat in metro Atlanta and points south. But even as we head north of that, a level 2 threat for most of North Georgia with a level 1 threat for the North Georgia mountains. Here's a look at those risks. The number 1 risk is very heavy rain. Right now, we do have a moderate risk of strong damaging winds, relatively lower risk of tornadoes. But as this storm system gets closer, we're going to fine tune those threats and certainly some tornadoes possible. We're going to pinpoint the timing for you coming up. But first, want you to know we are in storm mode here at CBS 46 on Thursday with the entire weather team, all hands on deck. Again, multiple rounds of severe weather possible. The highest risk in the afternoon and evening with damaging winds, tornadoes, and flash flooding. I'll pinpoint the timing of when the strongest storms will arrive coming up.
Jennifer, thank you. Breaking new details now at 4 on a crash that killed a Metro Atlanta police officer. Police tell us a man driving an SUV crashed into the police cruiser. This happened overnight on South Cobb Drive at Oak Drive. CBS 46's Ashley Thompson. She's live at Smyrna Police Headquarters. That's where officers just wrapped up a press conference, and this has certainly got to be heartbreaking for them.
It certainly is, and we now know more about the officer who was killed. His name is Officer Christopher Ewing, and he was just 34 years old. The police department giving us this photo of his police cruiser right after the crash. You could see just how badly his car was damaged. The entire police force here now in mourning. Around 11 last night, the police cruiser Officer Ewing was in collided with a silver Chevrolet Tahoe. That Tahoe was driven by Robert Lorenzo Cox. Police say Cox failed to yield while turning left and smashed into Ewing. The Georgia State Patrol was called in to investigate exactly what happened. But early this morning, Cox was arrested for a number of charges, including homicide by vehicle, tampering with evidence, and driving under the influence. A warrant states he removed 2 Corona beer bottles from his car, one of them opened, and threw them away at a nearby gas station before police arrived. Ewing was a married father of 3. He served in the Air Force and was a 2-year veteran of the Smyrna Police Department.
Officer Ewing was an employee any police chief would like to have. Officer Ewing brought with him experience in the armed services, brought with him knowledge. He was mature, he was grounded, and had a very, very bright future.
And you could see flowers are now left right there in front of police headquarters to honor him, and they also have their flags at half staff. Now, the events leading up to the crash remain under investigation, including whether this officer had his lights and sirens on. We'll have another update at 5. Live in Cobb County, I'm Ashley Thompson, CBS 46 News.
Ashley, thank you. Now back to that breaking news. We are just days away from entering phase 1 of the governor's plan to reopen Georgia. And some say that move is a huge gamble. So we told you yesterday, Governor Kemp is allowing some Georgia businesses to reopen. That starts this Friday. But, Rick, with some strict protocols.
That's right, Tracy. And we have team coverage today on the governor's decision, starting with CBS 46's Rebecca Schramm. She found out some business owners are simply not in a financial position to reopen.
Think about it. There are a number of restaurants and other small businesses that, even with the stimulus package, haven't yet received a dime of funding. So for them, reopening in the coming days is not an option. The Shed at Glenwood offers farm-to-table cuisine not far from Atlanta's Grant Park. These days, it sits empty because of the coronavirus shutdown. With Governor Brian Kemp's announcement, most businesses like gyms, beauty salons, nail salons, and barber shops can reopen Friday, and restaurants like The Shed can open their dining rooms Monday. But the owner here says that's anything but good news. In an email to CBS 46 News, he said to do so, we must now pay the back lease money, utilities, and buy supplies to reopen. Our employees will lose the meager amount of unemployment, and until the numbers of customers gets back up to speed, the tips most rely upon will not be at a sustainable level. When a reporter asked the governor how his decision is weighing on him personally, with this being one of the biggest decisions he'll ever make, this was his response.
Well, I can tell you I don't give a damn about politics right now. We also got to think about the effects on our economy and on these individuals from a mental health perspective, from a physical health perspective, and literally for people being able to put food on their tables.
It's also important to remember that just because the governor says businesses can reopen in the coming days doesn't mean they have to. In Atlanta, Rebecca Schramm, CBS 46 News.
Some say the governor's move to reopen Georgia is risky, so today we decided to crunch the coronavirus numbers ourselves to see if it truly is safe to reopen the state. CBS 46's Adam Murphy live in Atlanta with the details on that. Adam.
The state of Georgia may be closed now, but that's about to change in the coming days.
I think this is the right approach at the right time.
On Monday, Governor Brian Kemp announced plans to begin reopening parts of the economy. First up, gyms, bowling alleys, and hair salons, followed by restaurants and movie theaters. The reason?
According to the Department of Public Health, reports of emergency room visits for flu-like illnesses are declining. Documented COVID-19 cases have flattened and appear to be declining, and we have seen declining emergency room visits in general.
The decision was based on this data provided by the Department of Public Health, which shows a slight decline in the average number of coronavirus cases, but also states that illnesses occurring during this time may not yet be reported.
We're concerned about this.
Dr. Reginald Fowler fears the decision to reopen could lead to another wave of illnesses.
It's so contagious that if we rock the boat, then we could really be in trouble with this.
So CBS 46 took a deep dive into the state statistics for the month of April. What we found paints a very different picture. It shows that new cases declined over the weekend, but are on a slight upward trend over the last few days.
I would say, first of all, if you can, to continue to self-isolate for as long as you can. We have to be concerned about those who are at risk.
Now, I asked the governor's office and the State Department of Public Health to further explain their methodology for getting these numbers, since we were seeing data to the contrary. They did admit they're trying to gather more data through this process. We'll continue to press for further answers on this developing story. We're live in Atlanta. Adam Murphy, CBS 46.
Adam, thank you. Let's get to some breaking coronavirus news from across the country. Starting in New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio has a blunt message for Governor Kemp about his decision to start reopening Georgia.
Of course, that could lead to the disease reasserting in a lot of other places. It's the kind of enemy you should never take for granted. So when you open up again, you better have the facts on your side.
De Blasio also says jumping the gun to reopen could lead to a flare-up of coronavirus cases. He has canceled all public events in New York City through June 20th. New York's governor says elective medical procedures can resume in parts of their state. Governor Andrew Cuomo referred to outpatient treatments, which won't affect the number of beds available for coronavirus patients. Things won't change in areas hard hit by COVID-19. And the state of Wisconsin says at least 7 people appear to have contracted coronavirus while voting in the April 7th primaries. There were widespread concerns expressed about the health risks of in-person voting. 6 of those patients are voters. The other is a poll worker.
The FDA has okayed the first home test kit for coronavirus. Initially, the test will only be available to healthcare workers and first responders, and a doctor will have to request it for you. LabCorp will begin shipping the tests in a few weeks. World Health Organization researchers say all evidence points to coronavirus originating in bats, not a lab. The U.S. government has theorized the virus spread from a Chinese laboratory, not a market, as reported. A World Health Organization spokesman urged people to focus on the facts. And don't forget, CBS 46 is leading coverage on the coronavirus outbreak with hourly updates for you. Watch at the top of every hour for the latest developments on the powerful CBS 46 streaming app and on our CBS 46 Facebook page.
Governor Kemp gave his blessing for churches to welcome worshipers back in person. But do religious leaders plan to open their doors on Sunday?
Congress reaches a deal on additional funding for coronavirus testing, hospitals, and small business relief. I'm Natalie Brand with the message of one small business owner left in limbo.
Beautiful weather right now and another great day tomorrow, but big changes on the way. Thursday, we are under a level 3 risk of severe weather. I'll pinpoint when the strongest storms will arrive.
With the state starting to open this week, we're checking in with churches to find out their plans for weekend services. CBS 46's Ayanna Crystal is live in Buckhead with what churches will be doing.
Every church I spoke to told me that they will be continuing virtual service. I was not able to speak with any church that plans on having in-person services this weekend. Now here, the Diocese of Atlanta met today to figure out when they would open their 117 locations, and they plan on resuming in-person services on April 27th. Governor Brian Kemp has announced the initial steps Georgia will take to reopen certain businesses incrementally beginning on Friday. Churches have never been officially mandated to close, but places of worship have made the decision to do virtual services. Yesterday, Governor Kemp said places of worship are allowed, but have to follow strict social distancing protocols. But pastors I spoke with said that decision is irresponsible. The AME Bishops of Georgia mandates all churches remain closed on Sunday, defying the governor's decision.
As a pastor of an African American congregation, I'm concerned given that the large number of those who are being impacted are in the African American community. The governor has clearly put commerce over humanity. There is absolutely no reason for us to open up this early, this soon.
Any given Sunday, 1,500 or more people worshiping with us. And so to have that kind of influx of persons not being able to socially distance, I just think it's irresponsible.
When churches do start having in-person services, that is totally up to the pastor's discretion. But Pastor Bryant told me today that he doesn't foresee having in-person services sooner than June. That's the latest in Buckhead. Ayanna Crystal, CBS 46 News.
Ayanna, thank you. DeKalb County Sheriff giving an update today on the jail's emergency plan of action for managing the pandemic. Sheriff Melody Maddox says 13 inmates, or 1% of the total jail population, have tested positive for the coronavirus. She says 8 are still in custody, in isolation, under medical care. Several measures have been put in place, including screening anyone who goes in for possible fever, weekly professional cleanings, and reducing the jail population.
In the past 120 days, we have reduced the jail population by 24%. By applying the judicial order by Judge Purdom, we have been able to release 110 inmates on signature bonds.
Sheriff Maddox also says there are 10 cases among staff. That's 2% of employees. They are away from the office, and we're told they're doing well.
Now, CBS 46 Pinpoint Weather, certified Atlanta's most accurate forecast.
And this is what I like to see, a beautiful sunny day, temperatures in the 70s and not a raindrop out there. The great weather will continue today and tomorrow. Then on Thursday, we are going to be in storm mode as another round of severe weather moves right back into North Georgia. Right now, though, nothing to worry about. It looks great out there. Another beautiful day tomorrow. But after that, we do have additional rain, and we've already had a ton of rain. So flooding a big concern, especially as we head into the afternoon and evening on Thursday, and that rain continues. Here's a look at rainfall totals for the month, and we are about double where we should be. We should be at about 2.5 inches of rain. We've seen almost 4.5 inches of rain. And when you look at the year, we should be to about 16 inches, and we're at almost 31 inches. So it has been a very wet 2020, and the fact that we could see another inch to 2 inches of rain on Thursday certainly could cause some flooding concerns. Until then, it will be dry. And we do have a beautiful day on tap for tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid-70s, starting off sunny, and then you'll start to see increasing clouds as we head into the afternoon. But overall, a really pleasant afternoon. Certainly you'll want to go out and make the most of it. Here's a look at what tomorrow will look like. Notice we have sunshine, we're dry, but that system to our west that will be over Texas Wednesday morning, that is the area of low pressure that we're watching, and it is traveling east and it is heading in our direction. Now we're watching that warm front,